big. And now we're going to.
Okay. If I can have your attention, the mayor, I'm told, is going to be about 5 minutes late and asked if we would go ahead and start. For our new council members, and you can feel free to change this at any time. I was previously asked to serve as pro tem to conduct the meetings. And so I'm going to go ahead and we'll stand for the prayer and pledge and then have the clerk call the roll and get the meeting started. So if you would please stand, and I'll ask the city attorney if he will offer us a prayer. Yes, I know you have one ready.
Let us pray. Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus. Father, we pray right now that we conduct the city's business in decent and in order. Father, let us be led by what is in the best interest of this city and the citizens thereof. Father, we pray that as we go forward, that the city council, the mayor, and the entire governing body would behave in a manner that represents this city well and conduct business in a very effective manner. In Jesus' name I pray. Let us all say amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Ms. Miller? Here. Ms. Harris? Mr. St. Columbia?
Present.
Mr. Etherly?
Here.
Ms. Davis? Here. Dr. Miller?
Yes.
6 present.
At this time, we have on our first item of business, we have a guest, Mr. Frank Clancy, who has a proposal for mowing specific areas of the city. I don't think there's an attachment to your agenda. Is Mr. Clancy?
It is. It's the first one right behind your agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The first one right behind the agenda. Is he present?
Yes.
Come forward.
Okay.
Okay. I'll turn it over to you and you can make your presentation to the body. If you want. She pointed it to the side.
Okay.
You have the floor, Mr. Prince.
Well, I'd just like to continue the mowing of the city of Helena-West Helena and with the river park and sewer ponds and the solar panels. The sewer ponds I've been mowing for about 22 years. And probably y'all don't even know where the sewer ponds are, but it doesn't make any difference. They have to be mowed. And the river park is a kind of a pet peeve of mine because we have a lot of tourists come down here and I like the river park to look really nice. I started mowing it in 21. I mowed it 21 and 22. So that's my proposal right there. And I would like to keep mowing it for the city of Helena-West Helena. We got any questions?
What was total amount the city spent last year?
Do what?
The total amount the city spent between last year?
Oh, I don't know.
It was over $5,000.
I'd have to look at that, see.
Your contract in here says $550 per week for projects 1 and 2, $700 a week for project 3, and $225 a week for project 4.
Well, on project 4, that's kind of like as needed. I don't do it weekly. The solar panels at the airport, I don't do that neat. I mean, the sewer ponds I cut probably twice a month. Okay, and then the river park I cut every week, unless we have a drought. So.
Okay, so items 1 and 2 are based on 52 weeks. I'm sorry,
Mr. Clancy, he's actually how many weeks is it?
items 1 and 2 are based on 52 weeks?
Items 1 and 2?
Yes, sir.
What about items 1 and 2?
Those are based on 52 weeks. You said $550 per week, but it's based on 52 weeks.
Oh, no. This grass cutting, probably 6 months out of the year.
Okay, so
26 weeks?
and I asked the question because your estimate says 550 per week, but it doesn't say how many weeks. And so I was
I'm sorry.
trying to do
Okay,
the math.
okay. No, this is just during the season. It's usually runs from April to September, and it can run into October. You know, it just all depends on how the weather is.
Okay.
No, but this is, I guess I should have done a little better job writing it out. But anyway, no, sir, this is just during grass season.
Okay. So how many weeks would you estimate on that?
Well, you can figure from April the 1st through September, and it's possible that it can run into October.
So
26.
20, about 26 weeks.
That's right.
Project number 3 is cut as needed and project number 4 is cut as needed.
That's correct.
How many times do you estimate you cut project number 3 and 4?
Then again, it's just all depending about the weather, but I know project 3 is cut at least once a month. And it could be cut more than once a month, but I know it's cut at least once a month. And then project 4 is probably cut every other week. Then again, it all depends about the weather.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Is this what you did last year?
That's correct.
Is this what you did the year before?
That's correct.
You-
On the only 2 years that I've cut the river park, it's been 21 and 22. All the other stuff I've been cutting, both the sewer ponds I've been cutting for probably 22 years.
You've been doing this for 22 years,
The sewer ponds,
sewer pond,
that's correct.
and this over here,
Just 21 and 22,
21 and 22.
that's correct. And I'm not for sure, but I don't think I started cutting the river park. It's probably June of 21. I didn't start at the beginning of the year. I just picked it up because it needed cutting, and I started cutting it.
How many times did you cut for project 3, the one that was $700? I know you said.
Project 3, yes, sir, $700 for each sewer pond.
Yes, sir. About how many times this year? I'm just basically just trying to get a
Well, like I said earlier, the sewer ponds, I cut at least once a week. Yeah, once a month, excuse me.
Once a month.
Once a
Okay.
month,
Okay,
excuse me, yes,
So starting April to October?
yes,
Okay, so about 6 months.
yes.
These prices the same as last year?
Yes, all except the river park was $450 and I went up to $550. The sewer ponds are the same and the solar panels are the same.
So this,
As I cut,
this pretty well fell into our budget that we had last year.
that's correct.
Thank you.
If I may, City Council, this has never been presented to City Council before. This is one of the serial contracts that I've always advised the mayor that he didn't have the authority to do. The mayor's spending authority is $5,000. This is clearly more than $5,000. In fact, the first project is $13,000. And then the others, that we're getting close to $20,000. In addition, the spending ordinance that you already have, 7,500 is supposed to be bid. One, the mayor gets exclusive right to contract with whomever. But two, it seems like this project we should do a request for bids because it's over $7,500 and that's what the city ordinance says. And it should have been bidding, and I advised Mayor Smith on that numerous times along with many other contracts. But this is an example of one that should have been bidded in the past, had not been bidded, and should have been approved specifically by the city council and was not.
I do have one additional question. Mr. Turner, I would assume you can tell us exactly how much we paid him last year.
But yeah, I was just looking at, I happen to have my laptop with me because we were doing the budget information, but it seems like we paid to Clancy Enterprises Incorporated and to Clancy's Lawn Care, a total of $18,125 in 2022.
18,125.
Yes. So I don't know exactly what each check was written for, what particular site, what particular item.
I need to interrupt you. Just about how big is the sewer pond? So if you had to just ask. 3 acres.
One's on 44 are a lot bigger than the ones on Old Lart Road. I would say there's probably 60 acres in one and probably 50 acres in the other one.
Wow.
It might be more than that.
60 and 50. Okay. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. What we've been paying is a good deal.
Well, with the sewer ponds, I have a larger tractor
Yes, sir.
that has a bat wing and the levees are really steep out there.
Yes, sir.
And that's what you need to cut the sewer ponds with.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Mr. Clancy, you use your equipment, not the city's equipment.
That's correct.
It is above $7,500 and by ordinance, the city has to bid this.
Or waive the competitive bidding.
Hmm?
Or waive the.
Or waiting for competitive bidding, yes. The issue is the city can waive competitive bidding if you so choose, if it's emergency, but I don't know what the defined emergency for grass that doesn't need cutting for another 3 months. I don't know. I don't see the emergency in that. But also the mayor has exclusive right to make the choice. So I think it needs to be bidded and bid. I didn't mean to say bidded, but bid. And the mayor would have to choose whomever he would so choose.
Do you agree with that, man? We're bidding it out.
Yeah, I'd like to see us beat it out. Mr. Clancy has a proposal, but, and there's no but. I mean, you want to give everybody a chance because in the past we've just been choosing, and that's what one of my main issues, that we were paying people that had not been before the body. So now I'm at the head of the table, and I would like to see us, if you all in agreement, unless you all have something else that you all would like to do, but my consensus of is to try to bid it out. If Mr. Clancy win the bid, then it's his, but you want to give everybody the opportunity to do this. I mean, I mean, or in less than a couple months, you all decide, hey, look, we just want to give them a try. If you want to waive competitive bidding and do it that way, but my thing is I think we ought to.
In a situation like this, is you would bid it out. I will say this, Mr. Clancy, your prices are extremely competitive. I would strongly, if we do decide to bid, I would strongly encourage you to submit your bid.
Okay.
Your bid would be extremely.
But that's my bid right there.
Yes, sir.
So anybody else wants to bid, I'm good with that.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Now, for the sake of the listening audience and for the council are the ones that says, hey, we want to bid because your ordinance said you have to have a bid. But the mayor has the exclusive right to make all purchases, all contracts, et cetera. I know he's saying, well, if that's what you all want to do. But one thing I want to advise you publicly, and I advise you privately, Mayor, every dime that's spent in the city, you will be accountable for. No one can authorize an expenditure in the city but you. Your name, your signature, your approval, or some indicia of evidence that you are assenting to the expenditure has to be reflected in when the auditors come through. And so it is your exclusive right under Arkansas Code Annotated 1458-303 to make all purchases and all contracts. No one else can do it. City Council controls the money. And so I don't know if there are any other grass projects that are out there, but this, as Dr. Miller said, may be a very good price. But your ordinance says $7,500 must be bid.
I like to add that Mr. Clancy has put himself at a disadvantage right now, because if you're gonna bid it, he's already placed his bid out for everybody to know. He said this is his bid, so it would be very easy for somebody to come along and underbid him.
Well, as it relates to the law says the lowest reasonable bid. Because a person bids under Mr. Clancy, doesn't mean the mayor has to contract with that person. It says the lowest reasonable bid.
I understand.
Well, I just want to note that, that's all.
Yes.
And so I take it that when we do get all of the bids, that the body will have an opportunity to see all of those bids, or is that only viewed by Mayor Franklin?
That will be up to the mayor whether he wants the body to see them all. In full disclosure, I would let the council see him, but his style is his style. I mean, whatever he chooses to do on it.
Ms. Miller, I would have no objection to that. I mean, like I've been constantly saying, everything is open. So we're here to work together. So that's one of my main goals, is to try to break down the barriers that we had before. When I sit at the side of where you all are sitting, we had one of those things that we didn't know, and I'm not trying to hide anything because I want you all to know. So, Mr. Clancy, when the bids are open, you're welcome, and anybody who's bidding, when we do bid opening, you're welcome to come out. I'm pretty sure that I would, if the body so chooses to, we'll put it out for everybody, whoever wants to bid on it, and we'll proceed from there.
Do we establish a time period of the bid, or is that like 3 days, 5 days, people have to submit?
Typically, it's once a week for 2 separate weeks. It's from 10 to 14 days approximately. That's been our custom and practice.
We don't have to do it that long.
I think that you don't have to, but I think the thing about the most prudent thing to do is give as many people as possible the opportunity to bid. But again, the legal standard is lowest reasonable bid. Mr. Clancy could be hiring someone. If the mayor feels like he's gonna do the best job, and he can have the authority to contract with the Clancy, and that'd be that.
Anybody has any more questions for Mr. Clancy? Thank you, Mr. Clancy.
Thank y'all very much. Have a good night.
Next, we have
So just for record, it's going to be bidded out for 10 days.
Yes, sir. I don't know the time frame, but the mayor and the clerk will to go ahead and bid it. Yes, sir.
Well, fire department, if you will, we'll come back to y'all.
We have a practical question, which Esther just brought to my attention. And I wasn't trying to talk about it this evening just yet, but with pause, the practical problem is this. Let me read the statute to you. There's a lawsuit that's filed against the city, which I believe is meritless. However, it is filed against the city. 1442 107 is a statute that says interest in officers of contracts prohibited. And it reads, no alderman, council member, official, or municipal employee shall be interested in directly or indirectly in the profits of any contract for furnishing supplies, equipment, services to the municipality, unless the governing body of the city has enacted an ordinance specifically permitting aldermen, council members, officials, or municipal employees to conduct business with the city and prescribing the extent of the authority. Based on that, the city previously had an amount of $2,500. This has nothing to do with the bidding process. I provide the city council the bidding ordinance. The mayor's bidding authority is $5,000 and the bidding authority is $7,500. Because of potential conflicts of interest, the conflict of interest ordinance that was adopted has to $400,000 is what we are discussing. It has been put on hold by an injunction, which I believe the city is going to be victorious in. However, I don't know how much we've already spent with the newspaper. In full disclosure, my sister is married to Andrew Bagley and they have an ownership interest in the local newspaper. All ordinance must be published. Until that lawsuit is over, we won't be able to publish. And so we won't be able to advertise this until the lawsuit is over. They just tell us take no action according to the lawsuit. We told us take nothing. And so we're not going to be in contempt. So we're going to comply. We're asking for an expedited hearing, but I've said it. We went through the ordinance for 7-8 months. I went through examples of, for instance, legislative audit showed that Thrive, we were cited in legislative audit because we have an A&P commissioner whose husband works for Thrive. The city did business. We were cited for that. None of this has to do with non-bidding or anything. It has to do with the authority to even do a bid or do business. And so we can't do business with the paper above $2,500 at this point. We've already advertised some ordinances, and I think we came close to $2,400 already. And so I think that we're, I'd have to ask the treasurer or the clerk how much we've gotten to. But a practical issue for us running the paper, et cetera, we may run over that $2,500, the previous ordinance, because we have that injunction. I believe the injunction is meritless. It was ex parte, which means they went and talked to the judge without notifying me, without notifying the city. And we didn't have an opportunity to be heard. And there's many fallacies in that lawsuit that we will cover at some other point. But it's a practical matter. Until we get something resolved as to relates to that lawsuit, it tells us do nothing to enact it. Your previous ordinance at $2,500, and we will do nothing to violate the injunction. So until we do that, we'll, and it's one of the reasons why you're supposed to give the city attorney cities notice before you go to court and try to tell the judge all kinds of things in private, because the city needs to tell practically how this affects the city.
Yeah.
But we'll comply. We will comply.
So with that being said, you're saying that we could not, as a council, approve additional funds to advertise in the newspaper? Is that what you're saying?
I've made full disclosure. Andrew Bagley is my brother-in-law. Sandra Valley Bagley is my sister.
Can the people who attack the conflicts ordinance don't understand it.
Right.
This is a small town. People are related to people.
Right.
So there's things that we can't do because every business for a person who's related to somebody in the city is capped at a total of $2,500 for the entire year.
For the entire year.
That's it. And so we set it at $100,000 because when you have major projects, you gotta build a roof, you gotta tear down a building. Sometimes you might
Right.
spend 40, 50 on a project.
Right.
100,000 was a compromise because there had been a proposal for as much as $200,000 because
Right.
that's what some other cities do. And so we went with 100,000 because it was where everybody could agree to go with 100,000. But we've been cited, like Thrive does websites. They do a number of things for us, for A&P and for the body. And then you have a newspaper who, that's our local publication for. So an ordinance.
What's Thrive's conflict?
Mr. Staley is on the
She's on-
Advertising Promotion Commission.
She's on A&P.
Okay.
And then Will Staley runs Thrive.
Okay.
So.
Right.
But
And we had an issue with Delk. They tore down houses for us. Chandler Duckworth Department for much of last year, fire department. I don't think he's there now, but those things are ongoing. You're in a small town. We're in a small town, and people are related to people. And so you all have the spending authority, Mayor, which is 5,000, and anything above 5,000 is supposed to come before you all. And so the conflict had nothing to do with that.
Okay.
In addition, the bidding, you reduced from state bidding from the 20,000 or 30,000 down to 7,500. And so Mr. Clancy's job under state law would not have had to be bid, but our local ordinance is so much lower that the city council said bidding is $7,500. And so those things don't change. The only thing about the conflict of interest ordinance is to full disclosure. As part of that ordinance, it has everyone at this table by January 31st. We're supposed to show and tell our business interests and file them with the clerk. And the clerk sends them to the state. If they don't do them, we get a nasty letter from the state saying, you didn't do it. What's your financial interest? But we were asking everybody that's an employee of the city, in the heart of that, there's a form for them to give financial disclosures as to who in the city has businesses, what business do they have? Do you have an uncle, a cousin, a brother, sister, mother, somebody that has a business? So we can make full disclosure and we'll understand. Because the practical thing, the basis of 1442-107 is a simple thing. It is, people get upset when you say, well, I didn't get the contract because that family member got the contract. And as it relates to this, what we typically do, when we hired, Helen Haber was on staff and Chuck Haber was a lawyer, we came in and you also had to specifically say, this person is related to a person on staff, here's the contract. So you all know, and the public knows what's going on. And so that has been the practice, it's been full disclosure. The lawsuit completely misses that and has a complete fundamental lack of understanding and a lack of understanding of how government operates and how this slows things down. But the conflict ordinance had nothing to do with anything. It was on the agenda for 7 months. So, Madam Clerk, Mr. Treasurer, if you all could tell us how much we spent with the paper so far this year, then we can know whether we can bid, because we have a cap of $2,500.
And Helena-World is the only paper we can put a bid in?
Is Helena-World is the only one that runs local that makes the print. Daily, the Democrat does not. Daily does online. Online is not acceptable form.
Okay. We do our bids with Delta Culture Center through Democrat Gazette.
Yes, I was asking for this year. But I would double check that, Dr. Miller.
Okay.
I'll double check that, Dr.
Okay.
But we'll go ahead and try to do it. We'll spend up to the $2,500 and stop. Whatever it is, but we can move on. That wasn't something to stop at. But typically what we try to do is advertise in paper, advertise online and all the other places to advertise.
Okay.
But the other issue is still, if we pass any other ordinance, even if we get by the bid electronically, if you pass any ordinance, we won't be able to publish it.
Say that again now.
Ordinances must be published. If we get past the bidding issue, we still have to publish ordinances.
Okay.
And we can't publish ordinances.
It's no good if it's not public.
Right.
Okay.
Now, the blessing is your budget is done by resolution, so we thank God that they'll authorize
Okay.
budgets by resolution, or we've been a pickle. So resolutions do not have to be published. But online bidding, we may be able to do it online, the advertising online, but it's published in the ordinance, and we will not be able to do that other than in a local paper that prints.
Okay.
But now, I digress. Let's go back to the agenda.
On an update from HUD, there's nothing right now to present. So the next item is Ms. Ramsey is going to talk about the Kipp Delta Parade for January 20th.
Okay, each of you have in your packet a request from Kipp Delta for a parade for homecoming on January the 20th. It'll be from 2 to about 2:30. They're gonna leave the Kipp School on 10th Street and come down to the gym. We're getting this to you late because of the holiday and shortness in our staff right now. But normally I would get the department head signatures, but I assure you that I sent this to the department heads and have heard nothing back, that they won't help out any way we need. And so the event is Friday, January the 20th, from 2 to 2:30. And they just need an approval to have their homecoming parade.
I'll make a motion that we approve this pending the approval of the heads
Department.
of each department, that they do approve it.
Mr. St. Columbia moves to, Ms. St. Columbia moves to approve the Kipp Delta Parade. Ms. Davis, second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Harris.
Yeah.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
6 yes.
The next one, we're gonna go to the Fire Department. Chief Roger Brown, Captain Marcus Bourne.
Good evening. Captain DeMarcus Helena-West on the fire department. I'm accompanied with Captain Johnny Sumter, Helena-West on the fire department. Sadly, Chief Brown is under the weather today, so he couldn't make it. So we'll be speaking on his behalf. I have a packet that I passed out to all the council members. And this is kind of to help some of the ones that's new to the council, to inform you of some of the things that we've been doing, and let you shine a little light to the city and the public as of what's been going on with the Helena-West Fire Department. Part of this retention plan is to retain our old rank structure that's in the base pay from 2022, as well as ask for salary increases. And there'll be an explanation of why we're asking for what we're asking, instead of just, coming to you with our hands out. Okay, on the second page, annual overtime, just showing you where we've come with the overtime. 2018, we spent $206,000 in overtime when we was only budgeted for $100,000. And then from there, it came down. 2019, 227,000. 2020, we was able to get it down to 158,000. 2020 was the year when me and Chief Brown took office, and Captain Sumter and I and Chief Brown took office. And we was able to put a nice little dent in. We came in June, and we were starting to put a plan together to get the overtime down, because it was a big deal. It was a lot of things that was promised to us. If we was able to get the overtime down, we can work on promotions. We can work on salary increases. And that was a promise made to us, not just us, all departments. And we took it very serious. Our department rallied behind us. They worked together. We came up with a plan. We implemented the plan, and it worked. Because as you see the numbers, 2020, you see where we at, 2021. Granted, the overall overtime is not exactly what it is. See, because a portion of that overtime is actually for our salaries, just the way we work it, the way our hours accumulate from just reporting the work over the course of the year. And I'm gonna skip down to 2022 because I can explain it a little bit more. I did a diagram. I don't want to give you too much paperwork, but in 2022, okay, annual salary overtime was 23,000, and that's just with the individuals coming to work. So there is documented in our overtime, but it's actually just a part of their salary. Okay, and then last year the fishing tournament was taken from our overtime versus wherever they got the money from the previous year. Okay, so that's $22,000 that was not actually worked overtime, meaning time that was worked while you was off duty. So in essence, we only spent $48,000 in overtime in 2022. It's hours worked after being on duty. $48,000. So that's when guys get off, they're responding to fires, wrecks, accidents, or working overtime because someone's taking off. We only spent $48,000 in overtime. If you was to deduct that salary overtime in the fishing tournament from it, $114,000. Okay. All right, not to stay on there too long, but the next page is kind of our Act 833, just give you an estimate of some of the monies we was able to get and what we used it for. Last year, we had $186,000 that we used for tools, equipment, maintenance on our vehicles, gas, and a lot of different things. So it's not a huge burden on the city coming from us because we have funds that we use to take care of a large portion of the things that we need. We write grants to get our tools, equipment. We go out in the community. We have fundraisers. We do different things to kind of alleviate this stress from our taxpayers to be able to get the things we need to help provide great service. So this is something that we've been doing, you know, with something we would like to continue to do. This is a large part of what Johnny Sumter's do. You know, he works with this day in, day out. He worked with the people all across the state to get the right numbers to make sure we got the funding that we need to be able to take care of the things that we do. And that's pertaining with this Act 833 and as well as the ISO rating. Okay, so y'all can look at these numbers. This is what he does. These are the numbers that we used from last year. And the checks come throughout the year saying it can give you more information on that. Actually, we got dates right here to tell you when we got them. And this year they came kind of late, so it kind of put us in a little bind. What reason, I can't tell you, but I know they came in a little later than what they usually do. So, but Ms. Sanders was able to get caught up towards the end of the year and paying off some of the debt that we accumulated over the year. But I think this is a lot of money that we get from the state to be able to help take care of our day-to-day operations, you know, changing tires, fixing oil changes and all different things that's going on, tools, equipment, etc. Okay. Now I'm gonna flip it over to the next page. And this is kind of like a turnover rate that we've been dealing with. I went back and did it from 2011 to 2021 and just show you how high of a turnover rate we have and what we've been dealing with. You know, between those, that time span, we hired 50 people, 50. And only 15 out of the 50 that was hired between 2011 and 2021 still carrying on our fire department, still present, still working with us. 15 for a lot of different reasons. A lot of people don't know, but the city of Helena-West Helena is in the per capita top 3 in the state as it relates to structure fires, which we can see around our city, a lot of blight. We work hard. Our men work hard. Our officers take it serious. You know, we put our lives in harm's way all the time. We fight more fire here in Helena-West Helena than captains, lieutenants in Memphis and South Haven fighting 2-3 years. Well, in 20 some odd years, we do it in 2 or 3. Our guys that's on our department have tons of experience. They're very well qualified and trained because we got all the fires to fight. They're taking a lot of different classes. They take initiative to go out and get advanced courses and bring it back to service the people in our community. They take it serious. They take it very serious. We're blessed to have some great officers with great experience, great certifications. And these are not certifications that's sitting in a file cabinet. They're being used. You know, we're kind of blessed and burdened by being right here on the Mississippi River. So we spend time out there dealing with a lot of different things. We have guys that have swift water rescue, high angle rescue, confined space rescue. Of course, the basics that come along with being a firefighter. A lot of different certifications. I'm not gonna go through them all, but it's a lot. And right now we're blessed to have a number of EMTs on our department. Right now we have Patrick, who's a private ambulance service, you know, but their call volume is so high and their manpower is so low, it may take them anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours to get to you sometime. So imagine this your mother, your child, or you yourself in an accident, having a heart attack, having a stroke, and it take them that long to get there. Well, we blessed right now to have 5 nationally certified EMTs on our department right now, and a paramedic. And with those certifications, these firemen can leave and go and work anywhere else and double their salary, their base pay salary right now. But they do have a love and a lot of passion for their city, and they want to stay. But it's kind of hard holding on to them when it constantly getting hit left or right with a lot of different things that's constantly changing. And we have people that's interested in going to getting EMT and paramedic as well. So it's not just them. We got some more that's coming up underneath them. They want to go out and venture out and get those certifications and bring them back. It just makes our department stronger. You know, it's a blessing to pull up with an EMT or paramedic on your engine when we have an emergency. Look at our community. We have so many elderly people in our community and children playing different sports. You know, just imagine if we had our fire department at a football game, at a basketball game, at the nursing home when Chris Park having issues with power outages and different things, at the hospital when we're having issues, to have that personnel there. So that's a big deal. And we would love to be able to retain these individuals. I don't want to see them leave, you know, but these are some numbers. We was having issues with getting individuals to pass the academy. And one of the reasons is because the pay is so low. The pay is extremely low compared to cities of equal or same size, or right in the ballpark. And if you flip over to the next page, I got a lot of stuff going on here. The next page kind of shows you a third of our department, 1/3 of our department were our officers, like Johnny Sumter, myself, Chief Brown, Kevin Stackhouse, Brian Wayman, some of these, our most experienced guys. We have one in the audience with us today, Cyrus Thomas. If you see, look over to the far right, these people are eligible for retirement right now. Almost 2/3 of our fire department haven't been here 5 years. 17, I think, out of the 20 have only been here 3 years. So look what we're putting our citizens in harm's way and putting them in some bad situations. If all those guys was to leave it to somebody that's only been here for 3 or 4 years, that's not good at all. That's not safe. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. Now, granted, I love my guys, and they're picking up, they're learning a lot, they're showing a lot of initiative, they taking charge and going out here doing a lot of amazing things. But at the same time, 3 years of experience versus 20 is a huge difference. You know, yeah, you can go on scene and handle a fire, but what about BPS? What about a large church, Walmart? When we have issues like that, you want some experienced guys there, and the more you get, the better. And around the state, we have a lot of different fire departments that's reaching out to our guys because they know they're very well qualified and trained. We have 3 training officers on our department right now, and one works directly with the Arkansas Fire Academy. It's Derek Fluker, who's also an EMT. So our guys are getting, great training here at the house. We take it serious. We do more than wash our cars and sit on our tails. That's not what's going on. Our guys train. We have men in the academy now. We have men lined up to go right after. We have a young lady getting ready to go to EMT school right after that. We're constantly training. We're constantly trying to put these individuals in position to make wise decisions, good decisions for our department, be able to give them roles that they can handle, you know, but at the same time, you got to have this senior leadership in place for management. It's very important, okay? Look like I'm missing one of my forms, but, oh, here we go. Well, on the, comparison by city, if you go and look at that form, and this is from 2022, so all these numbers from these, departments, have changed. Yeah, you gotta skip 2 pages, excuse the order. Where it show you what Camden is for its population is 10,000, Clarksdale 14,000, Ford City 13,000, Stuttgart 8,000. Its population. West Smith is 24,000, which we know they're a lot larger than we are. But with the entry level, our guys start off at 30,316, and that's the first year. The second year is pretty much just showing after they get certified. So once our guys go to the academy, they come back. Our base pay is so messed up right now too. These guys, even after their promotion, are making the same amount of money. So after you go to the academy, you get certified. Now you open to go anywhere in the state and just walk in the door. We still making the same amount of money, but you can see a significant difference in every other department. You see that change. Yeah, we got, I ain't gonna get into all the comparisons around the city, but it's hard to keep individuals, you know, when you got low pay and then you're limiting their opportunity to grow. It may not seem like it, but I promise you, the rank means something. And it's so demoralizing to be demoted or take the opportunity for these individuals to get promoted. You know, we went from 6 captains to 3. Actually, we got 8 captains right now, because me and Johnny was demoted to captains. Assistant chief and battalion chief was demoted down to captains. So now we have 8 captains holding the rank, but we only have 3 in the base pay, which after we retire and leave or whatever, then they just let it trickle down to 3. But it would take our youngest guys anywhere from 8 to 12 years to get promoted to engineer. From firefighter first class to engineer, that is a long time being the lowest paid in the state. To stick around in the department is we're busy. Obviously, we're busy. Our PR here at Helena-West is greater than almost anybody in the state or the surrounding states for how we contribute to our community, the work that we do, coming, showing up. We're involved in the school district. We're involved in all the athletic programs. We're involved with the youth, and our elderly. We go out, we speak on different occasions for a whole lot of different reasons. Very firewise with our community, making sure that they understand what it is that we're dealing with and try to eliminate a lot of, you know, fires and just trying to keep our community safe. My grandmother is 90 years old, y'all, I'm telling you. And I would love to have a staff of firemen that got great experience, with great training, and take their job serious and come to work ready to work. Right now, it may seem like it, but our department, since the beginning of the year, the morale is low. It's very low. We was getting to a point to where we had people that was trying to come back to our department for an opportunity to begin promoted and the training and different things that we offer. We was doing pretty good. Overtime was down. ISO rating, well, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But it means a lot. It means a lot. And for you to tell the individual this, we just tested the not entry level, but promotional testing and interviews here in the last few weeks. We're at the end of last year, you know, so we got guys excited. They trying to get promoted. So guess what? They trying to put themselves in position to move up the ranks. They taking extra classes. They getting their EMTs, trying to get their paramedics, getting their confined space, swift water, and all these different certifications that we gonna use. Advanced auto extrication. How many rickshaws sit around here? Well, our guys showing up. They showing up and they showing out. Doing a wonderful job. And I like to keep these individuals. You know, we may be saving some dollars by cutting positions, but look what you're doing to the spirit of the department. I'm willing to go out there on a limb right now and say this, and forgive me, I'm not talking down on any other department, but our department has been doing a wonderful job for a long period of time. Chief Wilson laid the foundation years ago. Chief Brown, myself, and Johnny, we picked it up and kept going. Our men had fell in love with being a fireman again. They take their job serious. Now I'm gonna flip back for some numbers. We're gonna go to, well, flip back two or three more pages where you see. Okay, just up. Okay. With the ISO, and where we'll be standing. It's paid for the green lines. Okay. But that one in the page is right behind it. Right now, we have an opportunity. Go to the yellow page, y'all. We see Arkansas at the top with the yellow graph. We have an opportunity now to go from a class 3 ISO to a class 2. If you look at the numbers, being in the class 2, top 40 out of 107 fire departments in the state of Arkansas will be in the top 40. So that goes to show you, this paperwork just backing up what I'm saying, to show you how well of a job we're doing. And that's bragging rights, being able to go around the state saying, hey, I'm an ISO 2 at this small city, taking care of the business, putting our department in position to be successful, to help better serve our community. And not only that, for the ones that want to know, you flip over to the other page and you kind of see how much money you save per dollar by going to a 2. So the taxpayers save money. Our whole community benefits from it. And it's by having our rank structure in place, having our personnel in place, our stations in place, equipment, tools, and everything in place in order to give great service, get the citizens what they need to be safe. And there's a lot of other talking points with that, but I'm not trying to eat up too much time. But there's a lot of things that we're doing. There's a lot of things we're striving for. There's a lot of things that we've overlooked and worked through in order to put us in a position to where we can save money over time and get our ISO rating down to save everybody money. Okay? We go out here, we write grants. We do all type of fundraisers. You see us all over the place. We're not just sticking our hands out. We're putting in the work. You know? Yeah, it may sound like we're being greedy. We're not being greedy. I promise you. I'm just trying to put our guys in a situation to where they can work at the Helena-West Fire Department and make a decent living. And I feel like my guys, I'm just speaking for the fire department, deserve it. If anybody deserves it, it's us. And we don't want to be compared to no other department. And I'm going to say this because I know the man can handle it. Police department, we got Chief Bell coming. We know he's going to do a wonderful job. We know this. His record shows, and I believe he's going to do it. But as of right now, look where we at. Look where we've been for an extended period of time, holding it down. We're about to be fully staffed. We're only missing a few individuals. We got a couple of this from the retire and leave because of some reasons, but we're fully staffed. We've been doing a great job for a long period of time.
That's what it
I don't
was.
mind patting myself on the back for that because I'm proud of it. I've been around this department for 22 years, ever since I was a kid. And been working here almost 20. So I take a lot of pride in it. Captain Sumter been here, what, 22 years? 23 years, excuse me. 23 going on 24 years. A lot of work he's done behind the scenes. You don't know about it, but we do it. We give back not only through the fire department, but through the community. You know, the things that he's able to bring to the department through grants, Chief Brown and how he contributed to Boys and Girls Club, me coaching at all the schools, all the children, all the babies, no matter the race, no matter the school. This is our community, and I take it serious. If we can get them right, we can steer them in the right direction, we'll be successful in the future. That's how I look at it. All right, now back to this. We're gonna flip over. At the back is just a copy of our rank structure and how it's set up. But since you gave me the time, the budget. These are some of the projected numbers we were asking for, and I give you the reasons why, because you can't compare them to the other cities. Raises for current positions with EMTs. If you was to compare these numbers to anybody around the state, it's still a huge difference. We'll still be the lowest paid department in the state, even though we're asking for these numbers. One of the busiest in the state, but we're the lowest paid in the state. I promise you ain't getting low paid services, not from us. I promise you that. I look everybody in the eye and say this, you're not getting low paid services from us, regardless. We're gonna show up and we're gonna do our job and we're gonna take it serious. And you can kind of see some of the numbers and the reason why we asked for some of these numbers. We asked for at least $3,000 for our EMTs. 3,000 to be able to keep these guys when they can go to Pathfinder and make $60,000 and $70,000 coming in the door. We just asking for an extra 3 to add to their salaries in hopes to keep them. $3,000. And then with our entry-level guys, we run a quick turnover for us getting our guys in the door, getting them trained. We have all these instructors that's on the department now, and we work with them, we get them in the academy, we get them back so they can move up to the next rank, which is firefighter first class. If you look at it, we're just trying to get these guys to $35,000. And at $35,000, they'll still be the lowest paid in the state, but at least give them something. Give them something. And then another number is for the engineers. Get them another $3,000 on top of that is $38,000. Now, I'm gonna skip to the captains. We asked for them to go to 45 because you compare their salaries, it's anywhere from a $15,000 to a $20,000 difference with any captain around the state. Y'all can pull it up, look at your numbers yourself if you wanted to, but I did you a favor by writing some of them down. We can't afford to lose people like this. We cannot afford it. We cannot afford it. A third of the department can retire right now and leave it in the hands of somebody that's only been here 3 years. I'm sorry, if somebody breaking in my house, I don't want a 2-year experienced police officer. Give me that guy that's been here 15, 20. That's what I want. This is what I need. And it's the same thing with us. It's the same thing with us. The older, the better. You know, and our guys are seasoned well. We fight a lot of fire. We do a lot of work. We're involved in a lot of different things. We train a lot. I was gonna bring the hours of training, but I wasn't gonna bore you with all that. But we train a lot. We take our job serious. Okay. And you kind of see the difference. And now I couldn't catch up with Mr. Turner to get on the same page with some of these numbers so they can be exact. I like to be exact where I'm coming from so everybody knows exactly what's going on, be very transparent. And I'll say it to anybody that's listening, everybody in this room. Yes, I'm asking for increases for my guys because I want to keep them. I feel like they deserve it. They work hard. Matter of fact, they overworked.
If I can.
Go ahead, sir.
You say you were demoted, right?
Yes, sir. The position. The pay is still, hold on, let me clarify. The pay is still the same. I still have the same duties and responsibilities, but the rank was stripped. Now, granted, with that.
When you have a chance, when
Go ahead, sir.
When you have a chance, you have assistant chief on here. And it's still on here. So,
I apologize. This was done before that.
Did you not hear Mr. Valley earlier talk about the veto? Did you not hear him talk about that?
No, I didn't.
So I think you should refrain from that right now until you speak with the city attorney about that.
Talking about being looked at as, well, that's fine. There's no problem.
I'm just saying. Your presentation is well to do. I like what your guys are doing, but when you get a chance, speak with your city attorney, our city attorney about that, because the veto puts you back where. Okay. So you can finish. I just want to make sure you understand that.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
I just want you to get clarification on that.
So you're saying we're back at assistant chief and battalion chief? Is that what you're saying? Okay, well, on the paperwork here, it said Captain Borum. So, okay, well, I'm glad we all on the same page with that.
The judge's order has a practical conundrum. The conundrum is this. The ordinance that was passed has not been defeated by court order. And the old ordinance was repealed by those two orders. And so there's gray area as to where everything is. Reading the order, it says defendants are enjoined or prohibited from taking any action in accordance with the Helena-West ordinance 3922 and 4022 on such time a full adjudication be had. And that's all it says. So it says to take any action in accordance to it. but it does not defeat those two ordinances. And those two ordinances repealed the ordinances from last year, and they've been published in the paper. And so I just was on a conference call with Mr. League about the lawsuit, and we're trying to sort our way through it. So I don't have a direct answer for you tonight, Mayor or Mr. Boren, but I will give you a direct answer.
Thank you, Mr. Valley. You can continue.
Okay, well, whatever the title is, it's not gonna stop us from doing our jobs. Like I said earlier, we take it serious. We plan on continuing to give our community as much service as we can. That's my goal. I've been doing this since I was a kid, 12 years old. Regardless of what my title is, captain, chief, or they used to call me the fire dog, which I was fine with that. I took that. I was proud of that. To be able to be affiliated with the Helena-West Fire Department meant a lot to me, and it still does. It still does. So titles really not wrapped up around it. But I will say this, it's important for us to retain our titles because a lot of work that we do requires to have them. I'm on the Arkansas State Fire Chiefs Association. So a lot of different things that go through Little Rock, it get passed on to us. And we distribute it out throughout our department, you know, with the laws and the different changes and salaries and all the different things with our retirement. That stuff comes straight to us. Chief Brown can't do it all. He has help. You know, unlike other departments, we don't have secretaries, okay? We don't have janitors. We don't have custodians. We are the secretaries. We are the ones showing up. I know it was, I heard that it was said we need more boots on the ground. Well, our boots never left the ground. We still fight fire. We still show up pump trucks. We still show up cut people out of cars. I'm pretty sure you didn't see a pair of jaws of life in my hand, even as when I held the rank assistant chief. We still do it. We still do it. We still do it. And we do it as a team, and we take pride in it, y'all.
I had a question.
Go ahead, sir.
I think it's something you said that went past me, I didn't quite understand. You said that as far as like the firemen, the candidates who are not passing the academy, you said you felt like the reason why they weren't passing was because the pay is so low?
No, it wasn't passing because we couldn't get people that was qualified to pass to take the test to get on the department. See what I'm saying?
Okay. I think
you know,
okay.
Having individuals to be able to take the test and pass and go to the academy, you know.
And then in your opinion, why do you feel like the retention is so low?
The pay is so low. For one, the workload is so high, the pay is so low. And then you gotta factor in the danger of the job. You know, when you can leave us and go and work at any factory around here and make what we make. Granted, I do know we have good benefits. I tell anybody that I love our health insurance. But at the end of the day, they bring home number. People want to see a little bit more on their checks, especially for what it is they're doing. Because when you go into a 2-story burning building, you looking up and fire all around you. I think I'll do something different. We just lost one of our best young firemen today, working at a steel plant, making $105,000. And the reason why, out of the 400 and some odd people that applied, it was because of his experience here, the certifications that he received right here. That was kind of hard for me not to put in an application. But that's just some of the stuff that we deal with. If you go to Little Rock, go to North Little Rock, go to Pine Bluff, South Haven, Memphis, they got a lot of our guys because they know what they're getting. And just go and look at their resumes where they at now. These guys are no slouches sitting on their tail. These guys are moving through the ranks and moving fast. Because here we do everything. You pump truck, you fight fire, you do ventilation, you do extrication. You may be the on scene IC until somebody else get there. We do it all. We train for it. We train for it. You know, but then you go ahead, Mr. John.
I'll tell you something.
Yes,
I've been on the city council a long time. I've never seen any department as devoted as the people in your department. You guys do a great job. You really do.
I appreciate that.
Well underpaid. And I acknowledge that.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm gonna tell you, if all of our departments was operated as well as your department, we wouldn't, the city council and the city wouldn't have a worry in the world. Y'all do a great job, and I commend you for the job you're doing. You personally have done a great job, and I admire. I can go back and remember when Johnny Bevelak was the fire chief. he didn't do as good a job as you guys are doing today. Y'all have done a fantastic job and I commend you for it.
I really appreciate you for this,
I
sir.
don't
Thank
see
you.
how you've held it all together over the years like you have. And the things that you've done, and you've been on the council a long time, and I certainly appreciate you coming forth tonight and explaining all this to us. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
You're doing a great job.
Appreciate it.
And we need to put our money in the our people that are working for the city. And you guys, where we need to look.
So
Very
Mr. St.
strongly.
Columbia, by you saying that, what do you suggest?
Sir?
Are you suggesting we approve what they're asking for? Are you saying you approve what they're asking for?
Yes, if I had all my power to approve it, I'd give them more. I think they do.
Make a
great
motion.
job.
Go ahead.
I think they do a great job. I mean, you're asking for a 4% increase in pay. Is that correct?
No, actually, the percentages are a little different, depending on the rank, the percentages are
Yeah.
different. But if you need them, I can get them for you.
I mean, if our budget can afford it, we certainly need to look very strongly in your direction.
I appreciate it.
Have you had a chance to look at this? Has any member of the body had a chance to look at this? Because we just presented this tonight.
I'm not ready to move on it tonight,
But
personally, but
I want to make sure that, I want to make sure that the body knows that Madam Clerk, if you will, Mrs. St. Columbia is in strong recommendations to do this. So I hope that we can find, we have to make the necessary cuts that we need to make, but you'll be happy so we can make sure we can do just that. I want to hold you accountable to that. So do you all have anything else?
If y'all have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. If not,
The body has any questions?
I have a question.
That's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead,
Ms. Miller, you recognize?
Well, no, I was just gonna insert that, I know that we do have budget concerns. I know that we're ironing all of that out.
yes, sir.
I know that, personally, if I were going to make a choice between positions that, I don't know that I think that they're ride or die.
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
For the community
Yes, ma'am.
versus a fire department position where obviously your structure, you talk about trainings, experience, certifications with water rescue, different rescues, EMTs on the department, which that's amazing. 5 which are nationally certified, 1 paramedic, so forth and so on. I think we need to be sensitive as well to the fact that demotions are a not so nice way to reward people who put their lives in danger. And so I hope that we will take all of that into consideration
Yes, ma'am.
as we move forward.
Strongly, I would.
I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Warren, you've done a great job. Thank you very much.
Mr.
Thank
Anthony, you recognize?
Thank you. I'm not sure I understood the overtime discussion, but over the years, we've always had a struggle with controlling overtime
Yes, sir.
in our departments, and there was a consistent period of time, maybe 10 years or better, where no matter what we put in the budget, the department was always over. So when I look at 2018 and see $260,000 in overtime, 2019, $227,000 in overtime, 2020, $158,000 in overtime. I see it's coming down, but what happened?
Well, with me and Chief, Chief Sumter, myself, and Chief Brown, we took office. What we did was just pretty much brought the guys in and say, hey, this is where we at. In order for us to get the overtime down, what we had to do is when we ran into situations where people had to use time, because your vacation, your personal time, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So, and we force you to take them. It's like your killer days. When you accumulate those hours every 3 months, you get a killer day that you have to take off. Well, what we did was we made a schedule, and people didn't go over that schedule. So if you had days coming up, you took those days, and if you couldn't, we let them roll over without, if it put us in a situation where overtime may come up, and then just let them work them on the back end. And sometimes I would come in and work. So somebody, if their wife was sick or having a baby, come in and work for the guys. And then the guys took it upon themselves, what else, switch shifts, to help out, help each other. It was all team ball. We all came in and the guys worked together. So, hey, if I take off now and you trying to be off, it's going to put us in an overtime situation. So, hey, what I'm going to do is, if your situation is more important, you take off and I get someone to switch shifts with me. So it's the same time. They just swapping shifts, no overtime work, and it allowed it to come down. And then it was accountability, Every piece of overtime that's worked for the Helena-West Fire Department, if you want to know, all you gotta do is go through the logs. this person was at this fire for this long, this period of time, you know, on this date, and he accumulated this amount of hours in overtime, and we kept up with it. And I made a list to make sure we can divide the overtime out amongst the whole department, not just single out a few people and let them get it. Everybody had an equal opportunity. So everybody got called. If you didn't want it, we went back to the top to give everybody an opportunity to work when it did come available. When COVID hit, everybody, this man, oh my Lord, he lost so many family members during COVID. Not just him, but a lot of other people. A lot of our department caught COVID. So everybody else just stepped up. When they was taking off for sick, guys would come in and cover their shifts, all right? Because we had a lot of entry-level guys who had not been certified yet. So we can't leave it in their hands. So a lot of the officers would step up. They would come in off their off days and work and cover those shifts so we can get the overtime down, because we was promised, hey, we can get the overtime down. We promise you raises. Well, this is when Kevin Smith was in office. He said, if you get the overtime down, we'll give you raises and promotions. So our guys believed it. We believed it. We believed in Chief Brown. They believed in us, and we went to work. Not to bore you with a lot of details, but that's what happened. We just worked together. We worked together. We had accountability, and we went from there. They trusted in the system. We believed, and we was able to get it done. And I work with Tailwind too. I'm not, Lord, forgive me. Turner. I wear his office out with numbers and projections and different things to be on the same page. And also the city attorney to make sure what we was doing was legal with the sick time and different things to make sure we all was on the same page. And once we got the plan together, we went and execute. That's what happened.
You guys work like a family.
It is. It is. It really is. It is. It is. These are brothers. I promise you that. And sisters.
Anybody else have any questions? Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. I had a conference call scheduled, and that's why I stepped out. I had to talk to Mr. League about the litigation that we had. During the conversation, Dr. Miller, we did talk about the online bidding.
Yes.
And the city statute does say you can bid online, but you still have to publish in the paper at the same time.
Okay.
And so we can bid online, but it has to be published in the paper. Because I had a call with two of the Mississippi lawyers just a minute ago talking about the lawsuit. We will continue to try to work through this issue and go forward. Just as a general reminder, February 1st is quickly approaching. I ask that you all continue to meet with your department heads and come to some type of agreement on a budget so we can go forward, because the budget lapses on February the 1st, 2023. At the end of the day, it's February 1st, 2023.
Well, I have a question for the city attorney, and I think it's crucial for the city council to know, because of what happened over the weekend with the judge's order. I guess he had a temporary restraining order, something like that, TRO or something.
Mm-hmm.
How does that, okay, it's going to affect the budget because we have to determine which base pay we use to get the numbers for the budget. So I guess what I'm asking is if they're going to pass a budget, they have to determine which base pay they're using. Are they using the one before the December 30th or I think the judge said you can't use the one for December 30th.
The judge's
for now
order tells us don't do anything until after March 20th on the ordinance 3922 and 4022. Ordinance 3922 and 4022 actually repealed the previous ordinances. So I will research that issue, Mr. Turner, to tell you more clarity as to which one, or if either one of them you're operating on. You may not have a base pay at this point.
Okay.
I would think we would be more safe by using the old one than the new one, since.
Well, St. Columbia, you're not a lawyer.
That's the question, sir.
You're not a lawyer. Let me pause. I wasn't finished answering the legal question. The legal question is simply this. The ordinance is valid. It's been published. You repeal the other ordinance.
Okay,
That's where we are.
okay.
Well, can we explain for me, 'cause I've read, and I'm not a lawyer either. What does it mean to have a temporary restraining order?
The temporary restraining order stops, as it's written, it says, don't enforce this ordinance until after a hearing. It does not invalidate the ordinance.
But wouldn't passing the budget enforce the ordinance, because the budget funds the positions in the base pay ordinance? So simply by passing that budget, you would be enforcing the ordinance, wouldn't you?
You
Because
have
you're
a,
funding, you have to figure out which positions you're funding.
you got a compelling interest to pass a budget.
The base pay ordinance is not a legal requirement. It's what we did to clarify what everybody makes when they come in the door.
Okay.
So what he's saying is if he didn't declare the new one to be void, he just said,
Okay.
don't use it. So that means the new one, as you stand here today, is legal.
Okay,
It's been published. So that is the law of the city. The judge just says you can't use it. In that it is legal, it repealed the last one.
yes,
So the last one doesn't exist. 2022 doesn't exist.
okay.
And 2023 doesn't exist either. So for
So
all
we don't
net
have a base
effect,
pay.
we don't have a base pay.
Okay.
Correct.
Do Wild West, do whatever you want.
You're gonna pass a budget for the first time consolidation without a base pay.
Yeah.
You're gonna pass a budget that's based on what you said the budget is.
Does that mean that we will take the base pay ordinance for and I'm just asking, from 2022, as well as possibly consider some of 2023 and maybe come together with a compromise? Or does that mean that you're going to create something from scratch?
You're fully capable of compromising on any of it. The city does not have to have a base pay. The city has had a base pay since the consolidation. The base pay, the primary purpose of it is for the city council to define what are the positions in the city and to limit the mayor's authority to just randomly hire people and say, I'm creating this position, you're gonna hire it. And so the base pay defines every position and it defines the starting salary for those positions. That's the primary effect of it. Because what the city council was concerned about and well, actually, I misspoke on that. Mayor Valley actually presented the base pay because it was something the county does. And so he presented it. So as a part of transparency, here are the positions that I want you all to approve them. And this is starting salary for each one of them. So we started down this process. That's something that the Phillips County constantly does. And we started it at consolidation. Yes.
I'm just laughing. He talks a lot of legalese. Pretend you don't have one. Pretend it doesn't exist. Every position is what you said today. If you decide today that a certain position pays X dollars and cents, pretend you don't have a base pay order. Just this is what we decided to say. Period. If he decides he wants to, I understand, but this was the purpose of having a base pay order. If he decides he wants to hire somebody and just create a position, there's no base pay ordinance that stops him from doing it. So you just pretend you don't have one at all. Because the 2022 it was repealed and the new one, it's still 2022, but the most recent one has been, the judge says, you can't use it. So we just pretend we don't have one.
Right. Free fall. Ms. Miller, I didn't draft this lawsuit. I'm just telling you what the effects of it is. Now, to answer your other question, you all can freely pass a base pay ordinance that says what you all wanted to say if you want those restrictions. You're still free to do so.
Okay, I'm gonna be very transparent.
Mhm.
Okay, and kind of walk with me through this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I am all for Mr. Franklin having the necessary required staff that he needs in order for him to get his to be able to run his office effectively. I'm all for that. What I'm a little concerned about is that there are those things that at face value of what I'm looking at seem to be redundant things. That's like me saying, I want an F-150 truck and I don't have the money for it. Yes, I want it, but I don't have the money. Mayor Franklin, I'm not against you having what you need to get things off and running. That's not my issue. That's never been my issue. My issue has been when we look at the base pay ordinance and it's listing positions that don't seem to be necessary. Because I'm new, I'm scared to just write a blank, hey, I'm okay with all of this, when I feel like some of it's just not necessary. And I don't know that we've had the conversations to really handle it. I mean, we keep getting packets of paper, we keep having dialogues going across the table, but we've not all as a group sat down and really went page by page. And Mr. Bourne, that was excellent. I mean, I'm looking at that thinking, that's a really good and well laid out plan. And maybe I'm just not getting it. And I'm asking you, when are we going to sit down and look at all of these different positions, decide what's necessary? I've shared before. I've asked for job descriptions. I've asked for what do certain people do? Maybe some of these positions, and I know that this is a tough conversation, but we may not need all of these people.
If I may respond, was this, were you through with the first part of your question?
Yeah, because I'm sort of fleshing it out.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
If I may respond, typically in this month, this is what you do. Mr. Borum came in on behalf of the fire department, and you go through department after department after department after department. And so you not only have this meeting, we usually don't do it in a regular meeting. It's usually done in what they have called budget workshops, but they are still city council meetings. But each department heads to come in and make a presentation similar to what he's made and go through line by line. And the city council typically go through line by line with those. And you're free to look at the base pay to see which positions are important, which positions are not important, which ones you want to use, which ones you don't. Now, I will say from the city attorney's standpoint, I've told every mayor since consolidation, our ordinance, our purchase ordinance requires a purchase order person. And the city council has constantly taken it out, and the mayors have taken it out. The purchase order person, just for the education of everybody at the table and everyone watching, that person provides sunshine on everything, because every purchase order in the city is supposed to flow through that person. And then that person is supposed to get with the city treasurer, so we can determine whether we have the money before we spend a dime. We shouldn't have $300,000 in unpaid bills like we do now. And if we had the purchase order person, we wouldn't have that. But what has practically happened, our department heads have gone out and spent the money and then come back, oh, here's a purchase order. And so the treasurer is then backpedaling, trying to figure out, well, how do we pay it? And the clerk is bothered because she's trying to figure out how to pay it. And so we've been doing things backwards. The purchase order person, in accordance to the ordinance, is every department is supposed to get them their purchase order, and then that's submitted to the clerk. And before we, as a city, spend a dime, they're supposed to know what the taxes are, whether we have it, what's the purpose, whether it's over $5,000, whether it's a serial contract. Do we need to get city attorney to draft a contract? What all we need to do about the expenditures? And that position has been missing, and that is a large part of the reason why we have the $300,000 unpaid bills. This year, I've received calls almost every day from contractors that say, city attorney, you're saying I can't get paid. I said, well, I didn't say you can't get paid. I said, I haven't seen any documents on your contract. And so I received 4 or 5 today, and that's been a constant thing. I get calls all the time. They call the city clerk upset because they're not getting paid. And so I think that position is vital. Yes, ma'am.
And the reason why I respect your position, but I disagree, is this. every single person who is a department head, I find it very difficult to believe that in their hiring process, especially if they are chief of a department, head of a department, that handling of the budget was not a piece of their hiring. I find it, now it may be, but I kind of find that hard to believe. That's almost like anybody who owns a business. You would not go and hire a person because your manager is not managing the financial. All right, if I hired, there are people in here who own businesses, and I'm sure they could speak much better than I can. And I'm processing. If I own a business and I've hired a manager, and that manager is to work my drawer at night with my money, and that manager is slacking, not coming up, not turning in receipts, not putting the money where it goes, it does not make fiscal financial sense to me that you would hire another person to come in and manage what that department head is supposed to be doing. And furthermore, it's disturbing to me that Mr. Turner and Miss Sandy, Mr. Turner said the other week that people had their purchasing orders on the floorboards of their car. That's city property. That is city property. And that's disturbing to me. That where are the write-ups? Where's the conversation? Where is the people being brought in and made responsible for the fact that you did not handle your business in your department? That's, and I guess that's the question I keep getting to. I'm not saying that if we were a large city and we had a nice reserve other than $62,000, and that if we were to hire a bunch of people that you said was going to cost us $120-something thousand, we don't have the luxury. I'm saying that was valid at consolidation, I would think, because we consolidated two fairly large size cities. Okay. I'm sure there were lots more purchasing orders and things being put out there, but we are not there anymore. We have a per capita of $16,000 a year. We have a median income of $24,000 a year. And I'm over here looking at people who we want to pay $30,000 a year, especially when it's not fair to them, first of all, for people just to be handing them things randomly. Even I have a folder that I keep my stuff in. And if Mr. Borum, who obviously has a very well planned budget here that shows where his money went, what money he's gotten in from the state, where it went, who the salaries are, I'm trying to find out why are the other departments not doing the same thing? That's all I'm asking.
It was simple. The mayor didn't require him to. And the mayor would not present it to the city council. The Mayor Kevin Smith. And that's what Mr. Franklin complained about every city council meeting.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna take your word then, and I don't have to argue with that.
Oh, no,
But
I'm just saying.
asking Mr. Franklin, I'm asking you, you are our new mayor. You are well aware of what our financial situation is. Mr. Turner has sat there and told you, what we have in reserve. Some people have $62,000 in their checking account. And it's scary to me that as a city, we that's all we've got.
And I understand, but Mr. Turner.
And for the record, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. I don't know that I agree with our former mayor's budget. Because if all we're left with is $62,000, something happened.
I tell you, Ms. Miller, what happened. People did what they wanted to do. There's two departments. And Mr. Turner, you didn't project this either. When you looked at my budget, we spent $800,000 on overtime for two departments. That's just two departments. And I hadn't added the other departments. So I don't think we projected to spend that, did we? $800,000 on two departments. So we still this budget that they presented you was in a deficit too, by more than what in mine. It's not because we've cut things, but when you say that when everybody thinks that the city has a whole large amount of money, people from the police, fire, street, sanitation, water, the sanitation department probably was the least probably $7,000 for a whole year overtime. Police, fire, water. You have to, and it bothers me that this has been an issue. I appreciate the fire department for what they do, and I appreciate their presentation. But look at their salaries. Look at when you look at everybody's salary, you just can't say, well, this is not needed.
They will take the
When you look at it in
144,
the eyes of the city,
but the 20,
still, even though we have a declining population, we still have the same streets. They're dumping on Old Little Rock Road. They're dumping on Sanderland Drive. Houses not getting torn down. People, my administration, if you're not working, I got something for you. We're not playing it. I'm holding every individual accountable, and the department heads knows that we're not playing this kind of games. You can just sit around and ride in the truck. That's not happening. The Franklin administration will make sure every department is working. If you're not working, you need to be finding another place for employment, because the streets, the neighborhoods, look at this community. I'm proud to be a product of this community, but I'm not proud for the last 12 years of what's been happening to this community. I said as a council person, just like you, scared, didn't know what to do about a budget. Because my first time, anybody who would give us some advice, I would take it. Trusted Marvin Jarrett, trusted Don Ether, trusted Joe St. Columbus, Jay Holloway, trusted those people who sit around who knew. Monica Davis, we were all new. It's scary, yes, but I'm not trying to scare you. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through this together, and we're gonna meet until we get it right. The city has been in decline for the last 50 years. And people elected you to do a job, and they elected me. One thing that we're not gonna do is argue and fight. We're gonna get this done together. Your issues are my issues are your issues. However, whatever, whenever, whatever we gotta do to get it right, we're gonna do it. So by that being said, let's set up some more dates so we can keep this dialogue going to everybody. Ms. Harris, you're new. Thank you for being here. Ms. Miller, Mr. Miller, you all are new. Ms. Davis, thank you. Mr. Evans, thank you. Ms. St. Clement, thank you. You have to make your new colleagues feel comfortable of, that we're not playing games with St. Clement. This is real.
We never have played games.
Well,
we don't need to start either.
We're not going to start. But what
You're
we
right.
will do,
You're
what we will
absolutely
do,
right. You sat right here for a long time.
What we will do is fight together to make sure this city survives. I'm not going to go back on what happened last year or the past 15 to 20 years. We're going to talk about what we can do together.
That's right.
So can we set up some dates?
Well, Mr. Mayor, let me say this, because I think everybody keeps trying to answer the question, but nobody's answering the question. And I think what the new people want to know is, how do we talk about all of this stuff and move forward? And we know what's down the street around the corner, and you don't. Okay, so one department came. So what I do is take notes from that one department. I do nothing tonight. I just take notes. Another department will come. I'll take notes. Now, along the way, you can meet with the treasurer and say, can you tell me how this affects the entire budget? And if we decide we want him to give us another draft, we can say, Mr. Treasurer, give us a draft and make these changes. He can give us another draft. So as we continue to meet, if you have an issue with this position or that position, scratch those people off your list. You got 6 people here that you got to convince to go the way you want to go, because the votes come from us. And so if we decide to make a change to a draft, we tell them to make a change to a draft. Tell us how it affects the bottom line. So when we keep talking about we'll meet and go through it, we actually do stuff while we meet and go through it, if we all agree to make that change. So for example, a couple of years ago, we got to police. The police had a bunch of positions that they funded every year and never could fill it. And I said, why we put money in the police department for positions that they don't have people? So we took them out. We took that money and put it in demolition, and we put it in some other department. And we asked the treasurer to fix that and give it back to the newspaper said we defunded the police. They were positions that were never held. I'm just saying, that's an example of how we actually go through it and change it as we work through it. And then what happens is, as we may have our final meetings, you hear from each department, you can decide this is what they want, but this is all we can give them. So Mr. St. Columbia might be, I want to give the fire department everything they ask for, and everybody else might say, well, no, we can't do that because we have to cut too much from different departments. So we just literally talk about it. what can we do? And if you can get enough people to agree, we say, Treasurer, draft us a new budget that reflects the changes that we're asking you to make. And he gives us a new, so in 2 weeks, we don't have 2 weeks. In another week, a week and a half, we may have gone through 2 or 3 different drafts of the budget. So we literally change it as we go to see how it impacts the bottom line. So when you say what you want to talk about a lot of different positions, and I understand you're trying to figure out how do we change it right now. You don't have all the information right now. So what we're doing is literally just listening, taking information, because you're going to look at your budget at home and say, okay, this is what I want to do, but I don't want this. How can I make this happen over here? And you bring it back to the body and say, this is what I think we can do to make this work. So it's an individual project. If you want something in the budget to convince everybody else to go along, and you do your own math, you bring it back, you work with the treasurer, he can tell you what the numbers are.
I guess it was just a little scary for me because Mr. Turner said that, you know, we would have that deficit and then this is what he said. He said, I guess I could go find some money.
That's good.
I mean, you can play the tape back now, but I understood that what he was saying was, it's not that he's gonna go and do something wrong. But what he was saying is, you know, it's gonna be taxing to try and figure out where would I get that money, given where we are sort of financially, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
So-
Mr. Turner will notoriously look you in the eye and tell you, we can do that if you want to, we'll just have to do something else. And he won't tell you what there's something else is. And then you gotta go figure out what something else is. But what he really didn't want to tell you is you gotta cut somebody else over here, you gotta cut somebody else over. So,
Well, I mean, I can't tell you what it is because the city council makes that decision.
Right.
You have to do something, but you have to decide what you want.
The thing about it is, people have gotten bad reputation for being advocates at this table. It's your duty to be an advocate at this table and to be unapologetic about it. Do you have questions? You need to ask them. That's what you're elected for. Your primary purpose, the city council gets inundated with stuff the first month of the year because your primary job is finance, and passing the budget is most important thing you're gonna do all year. And so your first month, you as I said in the first council meeting, you're drinking water from fire hose. It's coming hot and heavy, and everybody wants everything. The one thing I always try to remind people, it's a scenario. Every department is going to give you, well, this city makes this city makes that. But if you take two 1,800 square foot houses and they're side by side, that doesn't mean they're equal. You got to look at the income that's in those houses too. So somebody can be making 150,000 in one house, and somebody can be making 50,000 in the other house. And so while we have those comparisons, they're good examples, but you also must look at our money in comparison to the other cities' money. And so I want everybody. The late Bobby Martin said it best. I do my best work when I get paid. And he said that at a city council meeting, and that's in the city council. You all should look at, to the extent you can afford increases for fire department, police department, other things. You should look at that. But your job is to be an advocate, it's not one of those things that, I mean no disrespect when I talk in my tones. St. Columbia and I have known each other a long time, and we're gonna laugh after this is over. But I think that your job is to be an advocate and to be unapologetic about being an advocate. I mean, that's what you do.
And Ms. Miller, as a practical matter, that's a phrase that Mr. Valley likes to use as a practical matter. But you have that the budget that I gave you for January 3rd, that budget contained, the thing it contained was all the jobs that were currently filled and the ones that were funded for 2022. So what I did was you can use that as a reference point, I guess it was, or as a starting.
That was the first budget you gave?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got it right here.
Yes. And so that budget just contains the jobs that were funded in 2022. And what I did was I went through and I made changes to the expenditures based on 2022 results. So I went through each line item at like supplies, fuel, uniforms, whatever. So I adjusted those things to kind of project what they may be in 2023. I think the primary thing that you guys will be focusing, you probably will be focusing on, and so I've noticed for many council meetings, many budgets, adoptions that the council has done over the past 8 years, the primary concern is salaries. We don't really get into, equipment. We have dump trucks and dozers and things like that. I know what the interest payments are going to be, what the principal payments are going to be every year. There's no discussion about that. There may be some discussion about new equipment, like the guy came down discussing the landfill equipment. He's going to give us information. I can plug that into the budget. But most of the discussion surrounds salary and payroll items. And so you guys just need to kind of figure out, I would determine what the city needs at a bare minimum, what we need to function, and then go on from there. And I believe that that 2022, that first budget that I gave you is a good starting point. Because I know, and I say that in relation to the fact that they say that we don't actually have a base pay ordinance. So you don't have anything to kind of reference. You can't, neither one of those are in effect. So that's why I say just use the 2022 budget, and you can still use the base pay ordinance. You can use the previous base pay ordinance or the December 30th base pay ordinance as a reference point, even though you're not required by law to use it.
I'm sitting here looking at two budgets. One you gave us, I marked number one. That was the first one you gave me. Then you gave us another one, I marked it number two.
Yes.
This one, the first one you gave me, it showed the, I'm gonna just use this, as an example, it showed the mayor's salary at 48,000 here on this proposal. Over here, it showed 70,000 on the second.
Yes.
Now, which one are you talking about?
Okay, the first one.
This one over here, number one?
The one that I gave you on January 1st, that uses the base pay that was before the December changes.
Right. That's this one here?
Yes, sir. The one that I gave you on the 10th uses the base pay that was
showing
passed on,
$70,000.
the base pay that was passed on December.
I mean, I'm just using
Yes,
that as.
So those reflect two different base pays. The one.
Right.
Yeah.
So which one are you suggesting we work with?
Both.
This one here? Oh, both of them?
Yeah. Because you have to consider the budget that was presented to you by the mayor. So you should consider it. And the budget that I gave you was just simply the positions that were already.
I mean, we need to be on the same page and talk about the same one.
Yes.
And not say, well, this is first one, this is first one, this is
January
second.
1st I have January 3rd on the first one, and I have January 10th on the second. So when you reference the budget, you can say the January 10th budget says so-and-so, and you can say the January 3rd budget. But you need to consider both.
We need to start holding meetings to where we can look at the numbers. I mean, we only have so much money to spend.
Yeah.
You know, you and I both know that we're just, our pocketbook is just so much money, and that's what we're gonna have.
Yeah, but the city council
I'm for, if we need to make changes in administration, you know, I'm for looking at that, but our bottom line is going to be a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to be concerned about. Like this presentation that the fire chief brought out tonight, they have an excellent organization and group. We need the retention of the fire department that we have, and all the other departments need to operate like they're operating. So we need to have an understanding of which one we're going to go to.
You have to, neither one of those budgets has been adopted.
Neither one of them, right?
No one. And so
Nothing.
both contain crucial information that you need to consider to make your decision on which budget you want to pass. You have a budget that says the mayor makes $60,000 basically. You have another one that says he makes 70. So you have to consider which one you want, or somewhere in between. I mean, that's correct for the city council to determine, but you should use all the information that we give you to determine, you should say, well, I don't want to do this, or I want to do this.
Yeah, but you're sitting here talking about, we need to take one of these budgets and work with.
I said that the first one I gave you would be a good starting.
Well, that's
a
this
reference
one you're
point.
talking about.
Yes, sir.
I haven't, Mr. Turner as well. We didn't anticipate spending $800,000 extra, right? With the two departments getting total up to $800,000 in overtime, we didn't put you.
I mean, when are they?
You hadn't seen the two departments?
I know the fire department has about 114,000, so that would mean.
It's more than two. It's the water department.
Okay, oh, yeah, well.
See, we didn't, see, that's the thing that kind of scared you all didn't project to spend that. That's what leaves us with some of this debt that we owe, because we hadn't paid all that overtime, we could have paid some of our bills. And that's when I was on the city council, I was fighting to pay some of the debt, but we were paying contractors $25,000 and it wasn't being bid out. These are some of the issues that's got us here. When we look at it, the people on the city council last year jumped up and down, and it seemed like we were arguing and fighting, but you had some departments total up to $800,000 in overtime that was approved. So that's why we're struggling, because if you didn't spend $800,000 that you didn't budget, we didn't budget it, right, Mr. Turner? So we'll be in a deficit. We didn't budget to spend $800,000. That means that the fire went lacking, street sanitation, everybody went to lacking, because we had somebody doing what they want to do, giving contracts out. So we'll be at a deficit when you do it all that. That's why it's so important for the former mayor to get a cleanup budget, because he wants to clean up the mess that he created. So what you're trying to do with me is hold me on a leash. Let's get this done right together, because we could pay our bills if we had not did some of the things. Well, we would be able now to pay our bills if the former administration had did some of the things they did. Let folks run road, let folks charge stuff. That's why we're in this situation. So put the facts out so the body could see it. The facts need to be put out on the table, that how the previous administration ran road with the city finances. It needs to be put out here so you all can see it. That's why we in the situation we're in now, that we're struggling, because $800,000, that could have been our surplus if we had department heads, company department heads holding their departments at bay. But we didn't. So that's some of our problem. It didn't start with me. It's not going to continue with me. We're going to get this under control. So, but that being said, if anybody have any meeting dates they would like to meet to talk about more workshops, I'm available tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. No, not tomorrow evening. I am Thursday, Friday. We can meet on Saturdays, whatever, at your pleasure. Let's get some dates together, because I'm ready to meet. It's up to you all.
I think while y'all looking at dates too, we need to say, who do you want to bring in?
Yeah,
Right.
who do you want to hear from? Police is usually long, so.
Yeah.
Landfill, water.
Mayor, take a point of personal privilege.
Yes, sir.
Chief Bell, when are you available to meet with the council to make your presentation?
So maybe we do police and then a small department.
The police and landfill.
Police and landfill.
But you know, Mr. Etherly, a lot of times, like even when Chief Smith was here, I mean, they have the biggest budget in the city, but a lot of times they don't really want a lot. So sometimes I think, they don't talk about that stuff. So sometimes I know the police department has a large budget, but the discussion may not be long.
Right, okay. Landfill, do we have the financing paperwork on that equipment?
Did he send that?
It wouldn't help us to do landfill if we don't have the financing.
I haven't received it. I was asking.
And
I guess we're still running though. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
And to clear that with overtime, fire was 100,000 last year, police 400,000, water 230, and other departments were at 90. So this is what the chief of staff just handed me to make sure that you all know. Fire 100,000 last year, police 400,000, water 230, and other departments at 90. So this is some of the reason why we're in the financial shape that we're in. So I just want to clear it up so you all to know. That's an estimate.
That's estimate.
Overtime.
So fire was 100,000.
Estimated 100,000, police 400,000, water 230, and other departments at 90. So
I'll email that report.
Thank you, Mr.
These are
Allen.
actual numbers.
Yeah, because see, it'll show, this is some of the problem we've been having. I'm gonna be transparent, make sure y'all see the overtime each pay period we have. This is why we're in the shape that we're in, this. People want raises and things like this, but one department got $400,000. How many police officers could you fund? How many departments? That's why we have new people in place. That's why we have Chief Bell. That's why we have Mr. Collins. That's why we have Mr. Murdoch. We got people in place who are gonna get this taken care of. I want you to see it, and I'm gonna put it in your email or in your box. Most of y'all, I don't have your email address, but I'll get that. But I wanna make sure you all know that the box of bills that we have, you could have knocked those bills out this month, couldn't you? So that's where we are. So I'm gonna show you. So by that being said, let's back to the meeting dates.
How about police and sanitation? Police and sanitation.
What dates?
And we need a date. Thursday, I think is fine.
Dr. Miller's unavailable on Thursday.
So I can move on, but I have a show first.
Show at the college.
Sir,
Where's the show?
Central.
College, oh, school, high school.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Saturday.
How about next Monday?
Next Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, next Monday. All right, and then we don't have a regular meeting on Tuesday. We can do Monday, Tuesday. 23rd, 24th.
So you suggested both of those dates, the 23rd and 24th?
Yeah, I'm suggesting both of those. So let's say police and sanitation on Monday and street and water.
Yeah.
And you can throw landfill in there, it's smaller.
Which one?
You can throw street, landfill, and water.
Oh, and he needs that financing paperwork on that equipment. I mean, for us to,
Yes, sir.
so
What time, you said on Monday? What time on Monday?
5 o'clock. We get out.
I'm tied up Monday night.
We need to make sure that our video people are available,
Oh, I'm sorry.
since we have to tape everything.
The other way,
Monday and Tuesday at 5, Monday and Tuesday at 5. Yeah, Monday and Tuesday. So police and sanitation on Monday. And my suggestion was water and street. And I think Mr. Franklin said landfill. He thought if we have the financing paperwork, water, street, and landfill on Tuesday. Yeah.
And do you want to come back Friday and just do a summary so everybody can see where we are? On Thursday, so you get a summary.
When is the first?
Wednesday after, so we can do a summary so everybody can be on the same page and see that we.
Yeah, we'll
we
need
in this
to.
together.
Yeah, let's, yeah, 'cause that's the next week. So let's come back Thursday or Friday and have a revised budget. So that we.
You said Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday of next week?
I'm saying Thursday, but I don't know if everybody's available on Thursday.
Thursday, next Thursday.
Yeah.
What you saying, do Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday?
Yeah. That way, Mr. Turner can get us a document. Yeah.
So you said Monday the 23rd, Tuesday the 24th, and Thursday the 26th.
Right.
All at 5 o'clock.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying, but is that okay? Can everybody meet at 5, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday?
I can't come on Monday, so that'd be out, but I mean, the rest.
Okay.
Dr. Miller, what'd you say about
I
Thursday?
can't be here that Thursday.
Of the next week.
I can definitely do Monday or Tuesday.
I mean, if we do. And Mr. St. Columbia saying, are you saying just the 23rd or any Monday?
I can't this coming Monday.
Okay, so on the 30th, okay, we would be bumping right up against the first. The first is on Wednesday. And on the 30th, we would have that Monday and that Tuesday to finalize it.
And then you're right.
Yeah, you have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Yeah, I
Wednesday
think,
for the doctor.
Wednesday the first.
well, I think we should set that Tuesday for adoption, and that leaves us a day to spend.
Are you suggesting Monday, Tuesday, 2 consecutive weeks?
Yes,
23rd, 24th,
there you go.
and the 30th and 31st?
Right.
Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm suggesting that, yeah, 23rd, 24th, 30th, 31st. 31st will be the date that we set to adopt. If we blow out a tie on the 31st, we still have a data to fix.
I think you
Is
would,
the video offices available all 4 of those days?
It's 2 consecutive Monday, Tuesday.
Ms. St. Columbia, are you available for the other 3 of those dates? The other 3 of the dates, are you available?
Those other 3 dates,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I think so. I'm not positive, but
23rd, 24th, 30th, and 31st.
So we're not meeting Thursday, 26th.
well, I think Mr. Etherly just wanted Thursday so that I could get you guys a revised budget. I think. Mr. Etherly,
what are those dates?
Mr. Etherly.
23rd, 24th,
23rd,
and 24th, and the 30th, 31st.
30,
What's that?
31st.
They were asking about the 26th. Were you just asking Mr. Turner to give you a revised budget on that day? Or what were you saying about the 26th?
Yeah, I wanted a revised document if any changes are made between now and then. I'm sure we'll make some changes between now and then. We get a revised budget so we know where we are today. And I think we didn't have enough people who could meet on that Thursday, but
Yeah, but I was talking to Ms. Harris. I think she wanted to know if you want to meet. I thought you were just saying that you just wanted that day to get the revised budget to.
no, I wanted to meet on that
Okay.
day, but I didn't think we had enough people. I didn't hear enough people say, yeah, let's do it on Thursday.
I mean, y'all can meet Monday. I just can't be here that Monday. We need to meet as soon as we can. We don't want to push it
Right.
up to February the 1st.
Right.
Okay, so we got police, we got, what do you say, police and
Yeah, you've heard
sanitation.
everybody on the first.
Street, water, landfill, district court, yeah. Maybe we need to cram them in on the 26th.
Well, it'd probably be better on Tuesday or Thursday.
For
5
district
o'clock.
court.
The judge.
5 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, they have court on Thursday, so Thursday.
You can come either Tuesday or Thursday.
Oh, so Mr. Valley is saying Thursday would be a good day because he'll be here for district court.
Well,
You're gonna be in court all day? Yeah.
Tuesday.
You'll send us out.
Okay.
District Court on the 26th.
Let me just bring him on 26.
And that got me confused.
You think? Okay, okay, he's
Will you go
suggested,
over it again, please?
okay, and let's, okay, so Mr. Valley is suggesting that we do district court on the 24th because the judge will already be here in town. And they do court morning and afternoon. So maybe, okay, so Monday is police and sanitation. Tuesday, water, district court, and street. And then that leaves landfill, and we should have the financing paperwork for the equipment so that we can consider it financially for Thursday. So let's just say Thursday. And then on Thursday, we'll have and if you get it, you can go ahead and put it into the document. So we'll meet on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
And then the following Monday, Tuesday.
Right.
To make sure all the department heads on those dates are here responsible to answer the questions that we need to ask.
That'll be,
So if I understand you correct, it's 5 meetings, the 23rd, the 24th, the 26th, the 30th, and the 31st. Is that correct?
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday. Right.
All of them at 5
All at
o'clock?
5 o'clock? All at 5?
Is that what the body pleases, pleasure, 5 o'clock?
All at 5, okay. So all
5 o'clock.
all at 5.
Anything else?
I move we adjourn if we're through.
Second.
Second.